There's a moment, a very small one, very quick, so subtle that no one thinks it matters. It's that moment when you first wake up, when your body is still warm from sleep, when your mind isn't quite ready, when you don't even remember what day it is, but your hand already reaches for your phone. You're not alone, because most people in the world start their morning this way. Grab the phone, open notifications, read messages, scroll through social media, check work emails, review the calendar, and in less than 5 minutes, the world floods into your head like a storm. Plans, information, comparison, pressure, self-blame, anxiety, that feeling of being exhausted before you've even done anything. You haven't had a deep breath yet, haven't taken a second to be grateful for a new day, haven't asked yourself, whose life am I living? And yet, your mind has already been pulled away by the noise, by expectations, by a dozen things you cannot control. And the sad part is, you don't even realize it, because it's become a habit, a small habit, but one that quietly steals the most valuable thing you have each morning, the right to govern your own inner world. Stoicism is not unfamiliar with this. Philosophers like Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, all warned us about what they called a mind being invaded. You don't need an enemy. You don't need a war. You just need to let the world enter your mind before you return to yourself. And in that moment, you've already lost. Epictetus once said, "It's not the events that disturb us, but how we think about them." So if you begin your morning by absorbing every thought from the outside, instead of shaping your thoughts from the inside, whose thoughts are you really living by? We often say, "It's just checking my phone. What's the big deal?" But Stoics don't measure things by size. They measure them by impact on the mind, because a small thing, done every day, becomes part of who you are, a reflex, a groove, a second version of you, one you didn't consciously choose. If every day the first thing you see is noise, negativity, competition, comparison, criticism, how long can you stay grounded? How long can you keep your hands on the wheel of your own mind? You think you're just scrolling, but in reality, you're being swept away. And once you're swept away, freedom is gone. And to the Stoics, losing freedom is becoming a slave, not to another person, but to what you can't control. There's a hard truth here. No one loses their self-control in one moment. They lose it through 100 small moments, repeated, unnoticed, unquestioned. And the morning is the easiest one to lose, because it's the softest. Your mind has just returned from sleep, before its defenses are up. Your emotions have no direction yet, making them easy to hijack by whatever's loudest out there. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." It's a reminder, a way to return to what really matters, to what no one can take from you, if you choose to guard it, your strength from within. But maybe you're thinking, "I didn't mean to. I don't want to be distracted. It's just a habit." Exactly. And that's why this video exists, because the habit isn't the problem. The problem is a habit that never comes under the light of awareness. Stoicism doesn't ask you to throw away your phone, go live in the woods, or return to the ancient world. It only asks you one thing. Are you living as a master or as a reflex? If you're a master, you'll choose to start your day with intention. If you're a reflex, the world will choose for you. You might think it's not important, but let me ask again. This morning, who do you belong to? To yourself, or to everything and everyone out there? This video isn't here to make you feel guilty. It's not here to shame your habits or make you give up technology. It has only one purpose: To help you realize this, every morning you wake up is a new beginning, and you have the right to begin it as someone who lives with intention. In the next part, we'll unpack 4 morning habits that may seem harmless, but are silently draining your strength, your self-mastery, and your ability to stay grounded. And more importantly, I'll show you how those who follow Stoicism faced each of these head-on, not with slogans, but with small actions, repeated every single day. If you're still here, I believe you don't just want to live, you want to live with purpose, and that always begins with the way you wake up. Have you ever wondered why the same rainy day feels sad to one person, but gentle to another? Why the same job feels like a burden to some, but a blessing to others? Why the same morning can make one person feel grounded, while another just wants to disappear? The answer isn't in the situation, it's in the starting point. More specifically, it's in the first few minutes after you open your eyes. The Stoics called the morning the mind's transition hour. It's the moment when nothing from the outside has taken over you, yet, and everything inside is still soft, flexible, shapeable. And because it's that soft, if you don't shape it, someone else will. If you don't lead it, the world will. If you're not awake, everything you read, hear, and see will decide who you are. Don't believe it. Look at your most recent morning. What state did you wake up in? Calm or rushed? Intentional or reactive? Did you give yourself a few minutes of stillness? Or did you jump straight into work, news, deadlines, responsibilities? Maybe you think, well, every morning's like that. But the Stoics would challenge you. If every morning is like that, don't be surprised if your whole life is too. Seneca once said something very clear. A happy life doesn't come from luck. It comes from preparation. And there's no preparation more powerful than beginning your morning with intention. But in reality, the opposite is happening. Millions of people start their day with a mind that hasn't been guided, a body that's still tired, a to-do list that's already overwhelming, a mood that's tense before doing anything at all. We don't begin the day. We just switch on like machines. No preparation, no anchor, no purpose. And when that repeats over and over, we stop living. We're just existing, not as Stoic warriors, but as boats with no rudder, drifting in waves of emotion. Take a pause and ask yourself, what is my morning saying about me? Is it saying I show up for myself? Or is it saying I'm being pulled by things that don't align with my values? Is it saying I know what matters most today? Or is it saying I'm just reacting to everything on autopilot? Stoicism doesn't teach you to be rigid. It teaches you to be structured. And every morning is your blueprint. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome and a Stoic philosopher, once wrote in Meditations, when you wake up, remember, you've been given a privilege, the privilege to live, the privilege to act, the privilege to choose. The problem is, we've lost that privilege without even knowing. We trade our agency for convenience. We trade our stillness for the urge to stay updated. We trade real life for meaningless scrolling. You can't live like a Stoic philosopher. If you let your entire morning be ruled by 3 things: technology, negative thinking, unconscious habits. Why? Because Stoicism is the philosophy of distinction. It teaches you to separate what you can control and what you can't, what to give your attention to and what to let go, what deserves a response and what can be ignored. If you lose the ability to make those distinctions in the morning, you lose the very root of Stoicism, self-mastery in a world that never stops moving. And here's the deeper danger. You're not just messing up your morning. You're shaping your entire nervous system. your mindset, your emotional baseline. Modern psychology confirms this. Your emotional and mental state in the first 60 minutes after waking will shape how you think, decide, and regulate emotion for the rest of the day. The Stoics said it 2,000 years ago in a different way. A mind not directed will take you to places you never meant to go. So, where will you lead your mind tomorrow morning? If you're truly serious about this philosophy, if you don't just want to listen to something wise, but actually live it, then you have to start from the place that seems the smallest, your morning. Because in that space, no one's watching, no one's judging, no one needs an answer from you. It's just you, and you alone. And that's when you must be honest. Are you living by the philosophy, or are you just consuming it? Like spiritual entertainment, you never digest. I'm not writing these words to make you feel guilty. I'm writing them to help you reclaim something you already had, the right to start your day the right way. Not the way the world wants, but the way your soul needs. So, in the next part, I'll show you the 4 most common morning habits the Stoics warned about. Habits that are quietly dangerous. They're not loud. They're not obviously toxic, but they slowly erode your awareness. And if left unexamined, you'll think they're normal, but they're not. They're eating away at your inner freedom. And it's time we face them. There are some mornings you wake up with a heavy feeling, and you don't even know why. Your body is still there, but your mind feels like it's somewhere else, somewhere dark, somewhere cold, somewhere you can't quite name, only that you don't want to leave the bed. You turn over, you stare at the ceiling, you sigh, then it all comes back. You remember what day it is. You remember the tasks left undone. You remember the messages you haven't replied to. You remember the faces you have to see, even when you don't want to. You remember something someone said yesterday. You remember the sense of breathlessness. You remember that you've been tired for a long time, but no one really knows. Stoicism is often misunderstood as a cold, emotionless philosophy, but in truth, it's a philosophy that dares to face reality, without denial, without exaggeration. And the reality is, many people are stepping into each morning with a tangled mind, and no one sees it. On the outside, they get up on time, they get dressed, they go to work, they talk, they smile, but inside, they're stretched thin, stretched by unnamed expectations, stretched by wounds that haven't healed, stretched by the feeling of being pushed through life rather than choosing it. And the saddest part is, we've grown used to it, so used to it that we see morning anxiety as a normal part of being an adult. Have you felt this before? You open your eyes, and the first thing you feel is tired, as if sleep didn't restore you. Even after 7 or 8 hours, a heaviness in your chest, with no clear reason. You scroll your phone to wake up, but all you find is comparison, envy, and confusion. You rush a cup of coffee, not to enjoy it, but to survive the day. If that's you, you're not alone. That's the reality of millions. And it's exactly what Stoic philosophy invites you to pause and observe. Epictetus once taught, we are not disturbed by things, but by the views we take of them. But if you never check in with how you think each morning, who's doing the thinking for you? Is it yesterday's unfinished worries, a negative memory that hasn't healed, words of criticism from others that now live as a voice inside your head? A mind that is not illuminated in the morning will easily be filled with whatever is random, negative, or distorted. No one needs to manipulate it. No one needs to sabotage it. If you're not present, the intruder will enter on its own. And when it enters while you're still weak, you won't have the strength to push it back. That's why the Stoics emphasize, the morning is not a time to react. It's a time to establish. Establish what? Your mindset, your boundaries, your intentional thoughts, your relationship with yourself. If not, you'll repeat the same cycle every day. Waking up as if punished, getting out of bed as an obligation, starting work like it's a battle, and going through the day just trying to survive. Sound familiar? Marcus Aurelius once wrote something deceptively simple. In the morning, when you don't want to rise, remind yourself, you were not made to lie under warm covers, but to act like a human being. But notice, he didn't say to work for society. He said, like a human being. That means with reason, with self-control, with the ability to rise above fleeting emotions and live by deeper values. That is the true meaning of waking up. To wake up is not just to open your eyes. To wake up is to return to awareness, with a will that knows what it's moving toward and what is not worth following. Maybe you're thinking, but I can't control how I feel in the morning. I'm already exhausted. That's real. And Stoicism doesn't deny it. It doesn't force you to be happy. It doesn't expect fake positivity. It doesn't demand you to be a superhuman. It simply invites you to observe your mind instead of running from it. Because only when you dare to look at it do you regain the right to change it. A Stoic isn't someone who never gets tired. They are simply someone who doesn't let tiredness dictate their way of life. I know you've had mornings when getting out of bed felt impossible. So have I. I know you've started the day with a sigh instead of gratitude. So have I. I know you've asked yourself, why am I so weak? I've asked that too. But you know what? Stoicism doesn't ask, are you strong? It asks, are you aware? Because awareness is the foundation of real strength. And the beautiful thing is, you can begin again on any morning. In the next part, I'll walk you through the first habit. That's quietly eroding your inner strength, grabbing your phone the moment you wake up. It's not just a habit, it's a symbol of how you let the outside world drive your mind. Before you've even aligned it with your own breath, we won't just talk about its harm, we'll explore how to replace it with what true Stoics have done for centuries. Begin the day by turning inward. Ethan is 38. He manages a sales department in the heart of the city. He owns a house, has a wife, 2 young kids. From the outside, his life looks like the picture of modern success. But there's one thing no one knows, not even the people closest to him. He dreads the morning. Every day, the alarm rings at 6 a.m. Ethan doesn't get up immediately. He lies there, under the dim light of the bedside lamp, staring blankly at the ceiling. Next to him, his wife is still asleep. Outside, traffic has just begun to hum on the streets, and in his chest, there's a heavy feeling, like a stone he's been carrying for so long. He can't remember when he picked it up. His hand reaches for the phone. Just one tap. The screen lights up, and the flood begins. Notifications from the workgroup chat, emails from overseas partners sent at 3 a.m. Messages from clients still unanswered, news updates, stock prices, the housing market, wars happening somewhere far away. Then social media. A friend just bought a new car. A colleague got promoted. A stranger posted their perfect body at 38. Ethan's age. It takes less than 10 minutes. But already, Ethan feels behind, inadequate, anxious, pressured, guilty, and the day hasn't even begun. Then he gets up, makes coffee, scrolls a bit more, wakes his wife, urges the kids to get ready, drives to work. Everything looks normal, but inside, a part of him has already fallen apart, and this repeats every morning, every morning, every morning, until one day, as he's driving his daughter to school, she suddenly asks, "Dad, why do you always look sad in the morning?" Ethan is taken aback. "Sad? You think I'm sad?" She nods. "Your eyes look like you're thinking something really heavy." Ethan falls silent. He doesn't know how to respond, because she's right. And the saddest part is, even he doesn't know what he's thinking anymore. That night, after everyone had gone to bed, Ethan got online and searched about burnout. He stumbled upon an article about Stoicism, a philosophy over 2,000 years old, about people who lived through war, illness, hardship, and still kept their clarity. He read it, not because he believed in it, but because he had nothing to lose. One quote made him pause. It was from Marcus Aurelius. "When you wake up in the morning and don't want to get out of bed, ask yourself, was I made to lie here, or to live a life worth living?" That question struck something. It wasn't loud, but it echoed in Ethan's mind all night. The next morning, he decided to try one small thing, not touching his phone for the first 30 minutes. Sounds simple, but that morning, he woke up feeling strange, empty, didn't know what to do with his hands, didn't know where to aim his mind. Instead of grabbing the phone, he got up, poured a glass of warm water, opened the window. The early breeze came in. Not cold, not hot, just a breeze, like life itself, breathing with him. He sat down, took out a blank notebook, wrote a few lines. No structure, just recorded what was present. "I woke up. I don't fully understand how I feel, but I'm not rushed. I'm learning how to begin again." He did that for 3 days, then a week, then 3 weeks. No miracles happened. He still went to work, still handled emails, still argued with co-workers, still had days when he was completely exhausted. But one thing changed. He no longer let the world touch him before he touched himself. He began each morning with 20 minutes of handwriting, a glass of water, and one Stoic question: what today is within my control? And strangely, since quitting the habit of checking his phone right after waking up, Ethan regained something he didn't even know he had lost: stability. No one else saw the change, but his wife noticed he stopped snapping in the mornings. His daughter said, "Daddy's eyes look brighter." And Ethan, for the first time in years, no longer feared the morning. Ethan didn't become a philosopher. He simply became someone who knew how to begin again, not through promises, not through grand goals, but through very small actions, repeated each morning with full presence. Stoicism never promises you won't suffer. It only offers you one thing: the clarity to walk through suffering without being swept away. And that begins with one morning, by returning your mind to yourself before handing it over to the world. In the next part, we'll break down the first of 4 dangerous habits. A habit that seems harmless, grabbing your phone the moment you open your eyes. Not just for entertainment, but to escape, to react, to give up ownership, and we'll explore how to replace it. With what modern Stoics still do: begin the day as a sacred act, not a mindless routine. You wake up, you haven't even sat up yet, haven't stretched, haven't given thanks for still being alive, but your hand already reaches for your phone. No thought, no awareness, just reflex. And in an instant, you trade the clarity of your morning for a flood of uninvited information. You're not wrong, and you're definitely not alone. In fact, over 80% of adults today admit they touch their phone within seconds of opening their eyes. It seems harmless, just checking the time, just glancing at a headline, just responding to a message. But Stoicism would ask something different. Are you receiving, or are you being led? Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The mind becomes what it frequently thinks about." So if in the very first moments of your day, you allow your mind to absorb negativity, news, social media, work stress, comparison, envy, emotional noise, then what exactly is shaping you? Stoicism always begins with one core question. What do you control? And what is controlling you? The issue here isn't the phone, it's the matter of priority. To whom are you giving the first seat in your mind? The outside world or yourself? Let's look closely. When you check your phone in the morning, what's actually happening? You're in a half-awake state. Brainwaves are slow, easily influenced. Your mental boundaries aren't up yet. Your focus isn't clear, and you absorb whatever appears first on screen. Headlines of accidents, wars, injustice, notification demanding immediate replies, images that trigger comparison, doubt, self-judgment, random posts, useless comments, still occupying mental space. You're not just reading, you're letting these things walk into your inner world before you've even opened the door. This is what Stoic philosophers feared most, a mind that's been infiltrated without even knowing it. Epictetus warned, "You cannot control what happens outside, but you can choose what enters you." So the question is, are you choosing or are you surrendering? Because if you're not choosing, the algorithm will choose for you. And the algorithm doesn't prioritize peace. It prioritizes attention, sensationalism, reaction, distraction. In other words, everything opposite to Stoicism. Now imagine the opposite scenario. You wake up. You don't touch your phone. You sit up in silence. You drink a glass of warm water. You breathe deeply. You place a hand over your heart and feel it beating. You ask yourself, today, will I live with intention or keep existing as a reflex? Then you step into the day with a cleared mind, with an inner pillar set in place, with a light, however small. That's your own, not borrowed from someone else's screen. You see, the difference isn't in doing something grand. It's in not letting yourself be pulled before you've chosen a direction. Stoicism is a philosophy of choice, and the first choice of the day often pulls the rope that leads every other choice. If you open your phone before opening yourself, you're handing the wheel to the world. And if so, don't be surprised when you feel lost, anxious, reactive, and unanchored. You've let others define you. Before you've even spoken to your own soul, the solution isn't complicated. Stoics don't demand you wake at 4 a.m., meditate for 2 hours, or write 10 pages of journaling. Just one thing: delay contact with the world until you're truly present. Suggestions from modern Stoics: put your phone far from the bed so you can't reach for it reflexively. Give yourself at least 20 minutes with no devices. No scrolling. Do one simple, intentional thing: deep breathing. Drink water. Write a line. Sit in stillness. Ask a morning question, like Marcus Aurelius did. How will I face today? Like someone who knows what truly matters. You may not master this immediately, but you can start with one small experiment. Try one morning without the phone. Try one morning without news, socials, drama. Try one morning just to pause, turn inward, and reset direction, and see what happens. Not out there, but in here, because that place is where everything you truly control begins. In the next part, we'll look at the second silent habit: speaking negative, reactive, or unconscious words right after waking up. Most people don't think small morning words matter, but in Stoicism, speech is the first shape of thought, and thought becomes destiny. We'll explore this habit and learn how to speak differently so we can live differently. You wake up, not too tired, not in pain, but the first thing you say is, "This sucks. Another day already. I don't want to go to work. Wish I didn't have to get up this early." It might seem like just a random comment, you probably don't think much of it. But Stoicism would ask you one thing. Who do you think you're talking to? You think you're just venting a little emotion, but in truth, you're speaking to your own mind. You're giving it a command. You're setting a mental tone. You're triggering your entire nervous system to head in a negative direction. Sounds dramatic. It is, because the words you speak when you first wake up are not as harmless as they seem. That moment is one of the most sensitive times for your brain. Your mind isn't fully awake yet, which means it's easily programmed by whatever thought or phrase shows up first. And if the first line is complaint, frustration, boredom, then that becomes the background color of your entire day. The Stoics understood the power of words long ago. They didn't see words as social tools. They saw words as the visible part of thought and the root of action. Epictetus once said, "Be careful what you say, because you'll end up believing it. And once you believe it, you'll live by it." Whether it's true or not, if you start the day with phrases like, "I'm tired, I can't take this, today's going to be a mess," you're not just describing how you feel, you're activating a vision. You're sending a message to your whole mind, body, and nervous system. Get ready for a terrible day. And sadly, your brain listens very well. Think about this. You say, "I'm tired." Instantly, your posture drops, your breathing shallows, your mind slows down. You say, "I hate Mondays." Your brain starts scanning for reasons to support that. You say, "There's nothing to look forward to." And even if opportunity knocks, you won't recognize it. Stoicism calls this planting poison in your inner soil. No one insulted you. No one blamed you. No one hurt you. You did it yourself, gently, with words. On the other hand, those who live with a Stoic mindset choose their words like they choose their tools. Not flashy, not fake, but precise, meant to steady themselves each morning. Marcus Aurelius wrote these reminders to himself upon waking. "Today, I will meet selfish, angry, ungrateful, petty people, but I will not be pulled down, because I am reason, I am self-control, I am kindness. See that? No, pretending everything's fine. No forced optimism, just a choice of inner attitude, anchored by words. So what can you do? First, don't speak what you don't want to live. If you're tired, instead of saying, "I'm exhausted," try, "I'll move slower today, but I'll keep going." If you dread work, instead of, "I hate this job," try, "Today, I'll do what's needed, while guarding my energy." If you're sad, don't fake joy or drown in sorrow. Try, "I feel heavy today, and I'll hold that feeling, but not let it run the day." Stoicism doesn't ask you to be happy. It simply invites you to be honest and intentional. You can also create a morning phrase for yourself, not as a robotic ritual, but as an anchor to return to yourself. Examples: "I can't control the day, but I can control my attitude. Every breath this morning is a chance to begin again. I'm not chasing perfection, I'm choosing presence. I don't need to prove anything. I just need to live aligned with what I believe." Repeating something like this doesn't make you fake positive. It helps you master your mind before it drifts. To close, remember this: words are a double-edged sword. They can cut you down before you even leave the bed, or they can clear a path. So you face a hard day with a heart like stone, and you are the one who decides how they're used. In the next part, we'll look at the third habit, jumping into work, messages, and responsibilities, without first grounding yourself, not because you're lazy, but because you've been programmed to react, not to lead. And Stoicism will show you how to enter the day as someone who is alive, not someone running from lateness. Have you ever noticed? The moment you wake up, your mind starts running to the to-do list, running to today's deadlines, running to meetings, orders, unanswered emails, unfinished reports, running to your kids, your meals, your in-laws, running to the fear of being late, being scolded, being judged. And then your body runs too. You jump out of bed, brush your teeth in a rush, throw on clothes in a rush, drink your coffee in a rush, drive in a rush. All of it, pure survival mode. But the painful truth is, even after all that, you still feel like you haven't caught up because you weren't really present. Even though you were physically there, this isn't your fault. It's the product of a society that teaches us busy equals valuable. From a young age, we were taught, wake up and get going. The more you do, the better you are. Successful people don't waste time sitting still. So we end up entering our mornings not as thoughtful beings, but as machines already pre-programmed to run. Stoicism asks you this. Why do you step into the day without pausing to ask, what am I living for? Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, busier than any of us, still carved out time every morning to write for himself, not for others, not for legacy, just to anchor himself before engaging the world. He wrote, "Before facing the world, I must first face myself." Now pause and ask, are you running away from yourself each morning? We think we're being proactive, but really, we're just reacting to messages, reacting to duties, reacting to the schedule, reacting to what others expect of us. You haven't even asked yourself, what truly matters today? Where is my energy at? Is there something inside me that needs to be heard? Yet you're already spinning in a cycle you never chose. Stoicism teaches the opposite, not to avoid work, not to be lazy, but to reclaim the power to lead your day. You don't need an entire hour in the morning. You just need a pause to breathe, a pause to become present, a pause to remind yourself, how will I live today? Not just what will I do. Modern Stoics often begin their day with one small act. They ground themselves before launching. It might be 5 minutes of silent meditation. It might be writing down a single question. Am I living in line with what I value? It might just be standing at the window, watching the light come in, breathing deeply. Because they understand, if you begin the day in rush will lead you all day. But if you begin with clarity, clarity becomes your companion. Epictetus once said, no one can take your peace unless you give it away. And do you know the moment when you're most likely to give it away? Not at noon, not during rush hour, but right when the day begins. If you fail to guard it, if you start the day as if you're late, lacking, or behind, you'll spend the whole day out of breath. The solution isn't quitting your job, it's resetting your priorities. Don't let your first action be checking email. Don't let your first thought be, hurry up. Don't let your first reaction be to someone else's demand. Instead, sit up with intention. Drink a glass of water. As a ritual for your body, ask a question to guide your mind. Choose one small task, not for the deadline, but for your values. It could be cleaning your desk. It could be writing 3 lines in a journal. It could be standing on the balcony for 2 minutes, watching the clouds drift. Not to relax, but to remember, you are here, and you get to choose. You can't stop the world, but you can stop yourself for just 5 minutes each morning. And sometimes, those 5 minutes can change the whole way you live your life. No longer a runner, but a being, a present one, a sovereign one. In the next part, the final habit. we'll go even deeper. The habit of carrying toxic, negative, or distorted thoughts into your morning. Because sometimes what controls you isn't your phone, but the unexamined thoughts you've never questioned. There's no sound, no notification, no voice calling out, just a passing thought. So light, you barely notice it, but so heavy, it drags your mood for the rest of the day. I'm useless. Nothing's working out. They still haven't messaged me back. Why can't I be like them? Today probably won't be any better. When will I finally be free from this feeling? You don't say it out loud, but your mind has already believed it. And once it believes it, it starts acting like it's true. Stoicism teaches us thoughts shape emotions, emotions shape actions, and actions shape destiny. So if, every morning, you allow a toxic thought to silently slip in, you're writing your own fate without even knowing it. Marcus Aurelius once warned, your mind will take the shape of what you frequently think. The question is, who's choosing your first thought in the morning? You or some part of your unconscious? Many people wake up feeling heavy, not because something bad happened, but because they're still carrying unprocessed thoughts from the day before, an unresolved feeling, a conversation that lingered, a suppressed truth, an unnamed worry. And then, as a reflex, it all returns the moment you open your eyes, not loudly, not clearly, just humming in the background. Try this. When you first wake up, what's the first thought in your mind? Is it something you're looking forward to, or something you're avoiding? A sense of gratitude, or a familiar thread of doubt? Stoicism doesn't judge you for negative thoughts. On the contrary, it teaches you to face them, like a soldier guarding a fortress. Epictetus once compared the mind to a fortress, and you are its gatekeeper. If you're not standing guard, anything can enter. And once it's inside, it starts altering the inner structure, whether you notice or not. So how do you guard that gate? With something simple, yet powerful: awareness. Begin your morning, not with doing, but with observing your thoughts. No judgment, no running away. Just ask yourself, what am I thinking right now? Does this thought reflect truth, or is it just an old habit? If I believe this thought, how will I live today? You don't need to force yourself to think positively. You just need to stop blindly believing every thought that appears. That's the Stoic mindset. Not denial, not submission, but conscious choice. A Stoic doesn't begin their morning with, what do I need to do? They begin with, what's present in my mind, and will I let it lead me? Instead of trying to fight off negative thoughts, they let them appear, and then face them head-on. There's that old fear again. There's the usual comparison. There's that I'm not good enough feeling. It's been with me for years. Then they name it, put it in its place, and don't let it take the wheel. Here's a gatekeeping question you can ask yourself each morning. Is the first thought in my mind right now serving who I want to become? If yes, keep it. If no, observe it. Then let it pass. You don't have to fight. You just have to not believe everything you think. As Marcus once said, if you're disturbed by anything external, it's not the thing itself that troubles you, but your judgment of it. Unchecked thoughts are the fastest road to mental exhaustion. And if you don't check them in the morning, you may live the whole day as if that lie were true. You can't stop negative thoughts from showing up, but you can choose not to let them define you. You can't always control the emotion that appears at dawn, but you can refuse to cooperate with thoughts that drag you off course. And it all starts, not with a book, not with a course, but with that first moment you wake up and have the courage to observe yourself. I know this isn't easy, because there are mornings you wake up with no hope. You wake up with an emptiness you can't even name. You wake up just wanting to go back to sleep, not from tiredness, but from not wanting to face the day. But you know what? That's exactly when you need Stoicism the most. Not as a cure, but as a quiet friend beside you, whispering, "Just don't let the wrong thought carry you too far from the truth." You've just walked through 8 parts, not to learn something new, not to hear another cool philosophy, but to wake up before it's too late. None of us intends to lose our inner strength. No one wants to live in anxiety, chaos, and reactivity. But the truth is, inner strength isn't taken all at once. It leaks, bit by bit, starting from the mornings we fail to own. Look again. The 4 habits you've just uncovered, seemingly harmless, are quietly creating deeper consequences than you realize. Reaching for your phone the moment you wake up. You're not just checking updates, you're handing the wheel to the world. Before you've even sat in the driver's seat of your own mind, you're letting the outside world dictate your mood, your rhythm, your biology, even the way you view yourself, and as urgency, comparison, and consumption take over. Presence gets pushed aside. Speaking negative words first thing in the morning. You're not just venting, you're reprogramming your entire emotional and cognitive system with unconscious commands. "I'm tired. I don't want to. Another day already." These are not just complaints. They're silent instructions to your brain, to your nervous system. And when repeated enough, they become identity. Jumping into work without establishing your inner world. You're not just busy. You're entering the day directionless. Like a car speeding onto the highway without a map. You act, but don't know why. You move, but don't know where you're going. And you spend your whole life tired, thinking that's just what growing up means. Allowing toxic thoughts to silently invade. No one's visibly hurting you, but you're quietly believing unexamined thoughts. "I'm not good enough. Today will just be like yesterday." Nothing ever really changes. And so, you live as if that were true. Stoicism isn't here to make you feel guilty. It comes like a quiet friend, to illuminate the habits you thought were just normal. Because Stoic people aren't better than anyone. They've simply learned not to let small, unnoticed patterns steer their entire lives off track. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, how many mornings have you lived in unconscious autopilot? How many days have you acted like you didn't have a choice? How many months have you told yourself, "He can't change. I've always been like this"? If the answer is too many, then don't rush to blame yourself. Just remember, you don't need to go back and fix your past. You just need to begin again with your next morning. Stoicism doesn't teach you to fight the world. It teaches you to protect your inner world before stepping out into the outer one. And the place most vulnerable to invasion is the morning. No one notices. No one stops it. No one checks. Only you and your awareness. So choose again. Choose to begin your morning with yourself, not with your device. Choose to speak steady words instead of unconscious complaints. Choose to pause for a few minutes instead of running headlong into the day with no compass. Choose to observe your thoughts rather than believe the first one that shows up. You don't need to do it all today. You just need to pick one small choice each morning to not live on reflex, because sometimes just one pause is enough to help you remember. You can live differently. You were once clear-minded. You still have freedom. If you've stayed with me until now, I believe it's not because you're looking for a perfect morning routine. It's not because you need someone to remind you to live better. I believe you stayed because you're tired. Tired of waking up each morning already feeling defeated before the day has even begun. Tired of living without knowing what you're living for. Tired of repeating the same emotions every day without ever having time to really face them? And if that's true, then let me say one simple thing. You're not wrong. You're not weak. You just need to come home, to return to a morning that isn't ruled by chaos, to a rhythm that isn't driven by pressure, to a mind that's aware of what it's thinking and knows whether to believe it or not. You don't need to overhaul your life tomorrow. You just need tomorrow morning to pause for 30 seconds before touching anything, and in those 30 seconds, just breathe. Just ask yourself, do I want to live this day as someone with intention or as someone being pulled along? No one else will hear your answer, but if you're honest with it, you'll feel something shift. You've already started living differently. Stoicism doesn't ask you to be perfect. It only asks you to be awake. Awake when anger arises. Awake when the mind loses its way. Awake when old feelings return. And especially, awake in the very moment you open your eyes. Because if you're awake there, you'll be awake for the whole day. Awake in your decisions. Awake in your words. Awake in how you love. Awake in how you let go. And awake when you choose yourself again. If there's one thing I hope you carry from this video, let it not be the pressure to do something big. Let it be a quiet stillness inside, a gentle awareness that says, I can begin again, by simply beginning well from an ordinary morning. In the next video, we'll go deeper into the art of moving slowly, but still going far, through the lens of Stoic wisdom, because sometimes what you need isn't another step forward. It's letting go of the wrong direction, not running faster, but walking aligned. And if it's meant to be, we'll meet again.